If the VIP appears to be getting along fine, as many do, just give them a little more space and avoid getting into a position where you are likely to bump into them or be in contact with their cane. It is unlikely that a VIP will change direction to avoid oncoming pedestrians. Such a move could result in them bumping into others or obstacles they have not seen. I am only aware of oncoming pedestrians when they appear as vague shadows about 2 meters away from me. Sometimes I am amused when an oncoming body seems absent from its brain, and then suddenly they reconnect, and the shadow dances quickly aside to avoid me. Then there are some situations where the very gentle touch of my cane to a person who is quite oblivious to others is more effective than a verbal "excuse me, please" on its own. But most people are very considerate in allowing just a little extra leeway. On the other hand, a man once stood in front of me and raised his hand, asking me how many fingers he had up. While irritating, on such occasions it's good to have a sense of humour. Perhaps an appropriate response to that question might have been 11. If a VIP is showing signs of looking for somewhere, or trying to negotiate a difficult obstacle, or waiting to cross a road, then this is a time to ask if you can help. Do not make physical contact until there is an implied acceptance for that, and then allow the VIP to take you by the elbow or arm. Be prepared that they may decline, which is not to be interpreted as ingratitude. A word to VIPs. I usually say something like, "I think I can manage this, but thank you for asking." That encourages someone to offer help to the next VIP they meet. This situation often occurs at traffic lights with audible signals. However, the real problem is the lights that are not audible and rely on the little green man to signal when it is safe to cross. Once I had to wait 10 minutes for help at a busy junction with no audible signals, while other pedestrians jaywalked to the other side before I could see them to ask for assistance. When giving directions to a VIP, you need to refrain from saying things like, "You will see," or "Do you see?" words usually accompanied by a nod or glance in a certain direction. This sounds elementary, but it does happen very regularly. The fact that you don't use the word "see" actually helps you think in VIP terms. Another phrase to avoid is "it's over there," usually accompanied by pointing. The VIP knows where "here" is, but may have difficulty getting to "there," even if they know where "there" is. Sometimes a VIP may respond in an unfriendly manner. This may just be their personality or them having a bad day, so don't let that stop you speaking to the next one you encounter. Stations and the like, places where people become very self-focused. VIPs may often have difficulty with less obvious things, like finding the ticket desk, or like me once when I spoke into a closed ticket kiosk. Ever felt foolish? And if you do work in a ticket office or in some place similar, do remember that a VIP cannot see body gestures, so it's important to speak to them first, rather than waiting for them to speak, and please use softer tones than you might have used with the last demanding person. Another obvious problem for VIPs is finding the correct station platform and train. Station staff are very helpful, but if none can be seen, please become an honorary staff member for a few moments and also offer to read information on the monitors. Buses and trains. Look out for VIPs at bus stops and ask them if you can help stop the correct bus. I stand there with my cane held out, but try doing that for any length of time and your arm soon droops. That means that I usually stop every bus that comes, as I cannot see them, let alone their number. Bus drivers are extremely helpful and don't mind stopping if I have stopped the wrong one, but you can be of particular help on this one and do offer to read monitors. Very frequently when I am at bus stops, I have to ask for assistance. Rarely is it offered, but when sought, it is usually generously given. The VIP's challenge can be seeing who is there to ask and risking being mistaken for having less worthy motives. I must pause here to acknowledge the general kindness of Dublin bus drivers, some over and above the call of duty. Well done, guys. When on the bus, Be aware that a VIP may not see which seats are vacant, and they may choose to stand rather than mistakenly sit on someone, as I did once. That day I was without my cane. Imagine the lady's reaction. Getting onto a bus from good light outside can leave a partially sighted person totally blind for a while. When being directed to a seat, I am often told, "There's a seat over there," probably accompanied by a look in a certain direction. This doesn't work. Try using language like 2 rows ahead on your left, or offer your seat. It would be really appreciated. And when doing so, remember the VIP may not see where you kindly vacated. Shops, cafes, toilets, and the like. A visually impaired person hanging about outside some venue usually means that they're unsure if they're at their intended destination. So offer some help. Or inside a building they may be unable to find the counter. You can help again. And at the counter, staff should give a little personal attention. Refrain from comments such as, "All we have is what you can see there," to which I feel like replying, "Why do you think I asked?" But instead I brandish my cane even more obviously and explain I am visually impaired. In a cafe, nice touches are carrying the tray, finding the cutlery, and being escorted to a seat. Reading menus, of course, is an obvious problem, so you can help with that. Watch out for the temptation to talk about the VIP as he or she. Remember they have an identity. Terms such as my friend, my brother, etc. is much better. VIPs can speak for themselves in many situations, and being able to do this also allows them to develop their confidence, particularly when they are unable to see the person they are conversing with. While on the subject of food, just imagine a lovely buffet meal laid out in front of you, and your eyes marvel and your mouth waters at the choice of tasty dishes and platters before you. Then cast your mind to someone who can't feast their eyes on anything. Your move again. It is best to describe what all the dishes are, so they can choose, and avoid just describing the first dish, putting some on their plate, and then describing the second one, and so on. If you do this, the plate quickly becomes full of what might not have been the VIP's first preferences. On occasions I have just been given what a well-meaning assistant thought best for me. Again, on the subject of food, have you ever, as a sighted person, chased some bits of elusive food around the plate with your fork? Removing that hand-to-eye coordination results in many disappointing fork-to-mouth attempts. So, in the interests of enjoying my food, I take some derogation from etiquette and substitute a spoon for the knife. As to what I have captured on that spoon, well, life can be full of surprises. On the matter of seating, if a VIP's vision is extremely limited or non-existent, and you are escorting them to a seat, just guide their hand onto the seat and allow them to seat themselves. Refrain from physically seating them. Do watch out too for VIPs wondering which are the male and female toilets, and if available, suggest the disability toilets. These are much easier to navigate than the geography of communal ones. With failing sight and consequently reduced walking, the gym has been my alternative for basic fitness. This has necessitated another sphere of learning, all those machines and their geography. But unlike humans, they are static, predictable, and inanimate. I learned the skill of approaching a machine to establish if it was in use, using my cane, listening to hear if it was being used, and sensing a presence on it. This worked well until one day I approached what I believe is called a leg extension, or some such technical term. All the signs were that the machine was vacant, but instead of putting my hand on the seat, I gripped a hairy leg. Shock! Talk about a hasty retreat. It must have been clear, however, that the leg owner should have seen me and my cane approaching and understood. But why didn't he alert me? But the message is that if someone with visual impairment is about to encroach on your personal space, they are most likely unaware of this, so please alert them in good time. This is particularly relevant on public transport if you don't want an unexpected guest on your lap. Footpath matters. If you are a property owner or householder adjacent to a public footpath,